Back here at Security Service Field, and my guest tonight is Sky Sox right-hander Jaye Chapman. And Jay, a belated welcome to Colorado Springs. What do you think of this place so far?
I actually like it a lot. You know, it's kind of crazy when you first get here. You notice the elevation change. You're like a little short of breath and all that stuff. But once you settle in, it's great. The views are great. Mountains are beautiful, and we live right downtown, and it's a really nice place.
Scoreless inning for you on Sunday. How would you say things are coming along for you here?
They're good. They're okay. You know, I just feel like I'm getting constant work and go out there and trying to get better in each and every opportunity they give me. And you know, working with Dabney and those guys, and it's been a lot of fun so far.
Started the year at AA Biloxi. You were part of that marathon road trip to begin the season. What was that like?
It's a little trying. You know, anytime you're on the road for like 11 days, you're like, man, it's a long road trip. When you think about 55 games, you're like, oh, my goodness. But, you know, if you just try to take it one day at a time and, you know, eventually you look up and it's, you know, June or late May, and you're like, hey, we only got like 20 more days, which at that time is like seems like a you know, right around the corner.
Yeah. Well, you put it in perspective. I was complaining about the 11-game road trip we just got back from. So all that is a piece of cake compared to what you've been through over the last couple of years, undergoing double hip surgery, I guess, back in 2013. How you feeling?
I feel great. I feel great now. It's actually the best I've ever felt.
So take us through the process. I mean, very few people, let alone athletes, have to go through this kind of procedure. What led to this for you?
I mean, the pain in my hips was just getting almost unbearable. And it wasn't like I knew something was kind of really wrong in 2013 when I couldn't like pinpoint where the pain was coming from. Like, you don't understand what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't a muscle. Like, I would like press on it. I'm like, that doesn't hurt. It feels like it's inside my hip joint. Like, it's just really hurts really bad. So I went and got it checked out, and they're like, yeah, I mean, your hips are, you know, you need surgery right away. There's like I was just telling you, it's a condition called FAI, and that you have too much bone in your hip, and you know that's what's causing all that pain in there. And I was like, I mean, all right. I mean, that's the only, like, they didn't give me any other option because they were like, you can't rehab bone away. You know, like we have to go in there and remove it. And I said, well, let's just get it taken care of as soon as possible and get back on the road to recovery and maybe, you know, try to pitch again.
Genetic condition or what?
Yeah, it's congenital. It's from birth, and, you know, it's just kind of a weird thing. And, you know, some guys are having some more of it, you know, the more you look around. But it was like 10 years ago, it was like unheard of. But now some people are starting to have hip surgeries, and you're like, oh, okay, that's, you know. But, I mean, it's still like, you know, it's all this time. I told some people all this time pitching is my 10th year. I thought my arm would always be, you know, but then I come to find out, you know, my bad hips.
Well, and you had experienced some success before finding out you'd have to have surgery, making your major league debut with the Cubs. I mean, what was going through your mind when you found out you'd have to have this procedure?
I mean, it was, you know, it's pretty devastating at the time because, like I said, I was on the major league roster with the Braves, and I was in a trade there to the Cubs, and they, you know, obviously promoted me to the big leagues, and I had, you know, pitched okay there, and I was thinking, all right, now is my time. I was 25. I'm going to start getting up there, making some, you know, and then this year I'm going to have to miss at least a year, you know, and I was just, you know, just had to, you know, pray that everything would be okay, you know, but at the time I just put, you know, trusted in my faith and stuff like that, but at the same time it was hard to swallow.
Visiting with Jaye Chapman, a Sky Sox right-hander here on Sky Sox Warmup from Security Service Field. Talk about the rehab process. I guess you had one of the hips worked on in May, thereabouts, and the other one in July. What was it like trying to recover from that?
It was really tough. So what they had to microfracture both my hips. So what that means is they drill some holes in your hips, and you're not allowed to weight bear. You're not allowed to put any weight on your hips. So for 6 weeks, I had to walk on crutches on my left hip. And then as soon as I could weight bear on my right hip, they did surgery on my left hip. So if I had to do 6 more weeks of crutches. And for the first 2 weeks of each hip, I had to lay in what they call a CPM machine. And it just moves your leg back and forth so the blood won't clot. It keeps, you know, the blood moving through there. And I did that for 10 hours a day for the first 2 weeks. So those first like 4 months were pretty tough. It's just like, man, this is. But now it's all worth it. But yeah, at first it was tough, man. It was real tough.
I read where when you were starting to play catch after you were at a point where you could start getting on the field, that you would fall down because you weren't balancing right, or I guess the hips were still coming back from the surgery.
Yeah, I fell down numerous times. It's hard not to get frustrated, and people kind of giggle, and you try to just laugh it off like, oh, yeah, but inside you're like, man, I'm not trying to fall. It's not really that funny to me. But like I said, the good Lord had a plan for me, and I just had to stick through it. But, yeah, I fell down. Man, the first day I started throwing, I fell down. So I would fall down, and I'd be like, oh, become conscious of it, and it's like, oh, I can't do it again, so throw, and then I just forget about it and try to throw one real and just fall down again. It's like, man, this is tough.
So how much trepidation was there when you got back on the field and were competing and testing out the hips for the first time?
Yeah, you just try to, you try to just go out there, and you're just like, you don't think about it, But at the time, it's like still having hip pain from coming back and trying to come back. And, you want to show people you're healthy, but you yourself don't even really know if you're healthy. So it's kind of a little bit of that was going on.
And then last year, I guess, had a hard time finding a job with a major league organization. You sign on with the Bridgeport Bluefish of the Independent Atlantic League. How would you describe your experience over there?
Yeah, it was nobody actually nobody thinks when they're, in their career they want to do something like that. You're like, I don't want to go to independent ball. But it was a very positive experience for me. There's a lot of good players in that league, a lot of ex-major leaguers there. And, for me, like I said, nobody really wanted to take a chance on me, major league organizations per se, because I was only 5 months out of hip surgery when spring training was coming up. So the Atlantic League season doesn't start till about 2 months after that. So I was about 8 months out, 7.5 months out trying to pitch. And it was tough, but at the same time, it was very, very, very positive experience for me.
Jaye Chapman, my guest, just another question or two for the Sky Sox right-hander. Based on what you've been through, does it make it any easier to get over some bad outings, knowing that at least you're competing and you're competing at the highest level besides the major leagues?
It does. And you know what it does is it just gives you an appreciation for where you're at. I spent some time in AAA and with the Braves. I spent 2 full years there, and you're kind of like, oh, I'm not in the big leagues. And you hear that a lot. You hear that a lot. Oh, I wish I was in the big leagues, stuff like that. And I can't say that I didn't say stuff like that or think that, But now you're just like, I can't tell you how happy I am just to be here, or wherever I'm at. It just kind of gives you a little bit more of a perspective.
And how do you like closing games?
Yeah, I like it. It's, when the crowd gets going and, the thing I like about it is it forces you to be your best. If you don't, it brings the best out of you. I know that every pitch that you make has to be a good one. It has to be executed. If it's not, you're going to pay for it, and they're doing everything they can to try to score 1 run most of the time. And so that kind of sort of inner competition I really enjoy.
Well, in closing, in looking at you for the first time, you got that long blonde hair, and it kind of remind me of my homies back in the day, back there in Southern California. I grew up around the beach, and guys surfing all the time down there. Is that anywhere in your past or what?
Oh, yeah. I'm from Panama City Beach, Florida, so it's like same kind of, just different coasts. But, yeah, I'm from the beach, gravitate towards the beach, love Hawaii, love to get on the surfboard when I can. Yeah, so the hair. I know we're talking about the hair, but I just like it. I like it a lot.
Well, it works. Listen, great story. Good to have you here, and wish you well down the road. Thanks for the time.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Sure. That is Jaye Chapman, Sky Sox right-hander. More to come on Sky Sox Warmup from Security Service Field right after this.